this little focus session is all about the neck itself. Now I know some of you carry some tension in this joint. I do too, particularly when I'm stressed. So we're going to do a little bit of a stretch here, and then we're going to take it to the wall and I'll show you how to use the spiky ball to get a little neck release and to get rid of some of that adding pressure and tension. So to begin with, we're going to stretch the neck itself. You're going to bring your hands behind your head, elbows wide. Now I'm clasping the fingers behind the eye sockets, and if I turn to the side, you see that I've placed my thumbs either side of my spine, just below those lower bones of the skull. Now from this side view, you'll be able to see, I'm gently going to lengthen by drawing the skull softly away from the neck itself, as if I'm lifting it up into my hands. My thumbs are remaining long either side of the spine. Now we're creating a little bit of a gap between the top section of the cervical spine, the atlas and the axis bones, as well as the cranium, the skull itself. Now this itself is what I want you to think about when I talk about floating the head from the mat in your mat work, as well as creating a length in the back of your neck. I can feel with my thumbs that my neck is nice and long, my shoulders are gliding down. Now to add into this stretch, take a nice soft breath in. On an exhale, you're gently going to look down with the eyes. Drop the chin to chest and feel the back of the neck open a little bit deeper. I'm just using the weight of my hands placed behind my head. I'm not pushing it down. I'm not creating any added pressure through my shoulders. Now this gentle neck stretch is where we begin, holding for 5 to 10 deep long breaths. Once we finish this stretch, we gently release by floating the eye line to look directly ahead. And we can release one arm to the side as we walk this hand over to the side of the skull just above the earlobe. This shoulder wants to remain relaxed and softly drawn from the ear. Take a deep breath in, and on the exhale you're gently going to draw your ear towards your shoulder. Now I'm not using the pull of this arm, it's in fact just the weight of the hand and the arm itself resting on the side of the skull that helps the ear draw down towards the shoulder. Again, this shoulder is relaxed, it's not scrunched up around my ear, there's no tension in my traps. Now as the ear gently draws towards the shoulder, you'll be feeling the opening at the side of the neck. To make the stretch bigger, this opposite arm is going to reach away from the body, palm facing inwards. And then I want you to flex the palm and push down. You should be able to feel the stretch get a little bit bigger, and now you're stretching through the muscles at the side of the neck. You can look down towards the ground with soft eyes if you need. Keep breathing in and out deeply. Keep flexing the palm and pushing down to keep the stretch active. Holding for 5 to 10 breaths here. We're going to let this arm go to soft noodle. Now we're going to turn our eye line to look underneath the armpit and then turn the hand to rest at the back of the skull. Again, you're gently going to draw your gaze into your armpit. Relax this shoulder from the ear and allow the weight of the hand and the arm that's resting on the top of the skull itself. Gently draw the eye line down. We're not pushing down with that top arm, we're just using it for weight. To make your stretch bigger, you're going to reach the opposite arm away once more, palm facing in. Flex the palm and push down, and you'll notice you've created a bigger stretch, now towards the back of the neck. Keep the shoulders softly drawn down. Keep the eye line soft. Breathe in and out deeply. Don't push down through that top arm into your skull. Just let the weight of the arm do the work. 5 to 10 breaths, and then we let that opposite arm go to that soft noodle. We're going to roll our chin to our chest, and then softly float the chin over the sternum, and then we can switch sides. So please repeat this stretch on either side. Now for those of you that have a chi ball at home, you can also use a half inflated chi ball to do a little bit of a mobility exercise, laying on your mat. So bring yourself down into supine. You're going to lay your head onto that half inflated chi ball. Now I'm resting the ball itself just behind my eye sockets, and I can bring my hands to my sides and really relax the weight of the head onto the ball. Now just like you did when you were seated doing our seated stretching from previously, you thought about lifting the the weight of the skull from the neck itself and lengthening the back of the neck, or dropping the chin lightly to chest. So we're going to do that here. We're going to just think about lengthening the back of the neck, gently lifting the weight of the skull from the neck, not from the ball, but lightly tucking the chin to chest, so we're really strong and opening the back of the neck first. Now you can feel that your head has a little bit more of a mobility range here lying on this half inflated ball. So we're going to utilise that here. We're going to allow one ear to drop to the side of the arc of the ball, and you get a little gentle stretch down the side of the neck. Then we're going to bring the head to float back into the centre. Take it to the other way, let the ear drop down to the side, rolling the skull onto the side arc of the ball. Then coming back to centre. Do that a few times, dropping the ear to the side of this ball, and then coming back to centre. Following with the eyes looking to the right, to the centre directly above you, and to the left. One more time, to the side looking right, to the centre, and to the left. Come back to middle. Now I want you to think about looking downwards. So at the moment you're looking directly up towards the ceiling. You're going to drop your eye line, drop your chin and look down towards your knees. And you're really lengthening the back of your neck as far as you can. Then we're going to come back to the centre where you look directly up towards the ceiling. And then I want you to follow your eye line over your forehead and look back behind you, lifting your chin on up. Good, come back to the centre and do that a few times. Look down, follow the eye line, travel down towards your knees. The chin is tucked deeply to the chest and the back of your neck is as long as it could be. Then look back towards the ceiling, follow the eye line over the forehead, look behind you, lift your chin. Good, do that a few times each way, really using the eye line to instigate the movement, coming back to centre each time. Last one, look down at the knees, to centre, directly back up to the ceiling, and then follow the eye line, making sure that we're articulating through the neck and coming back to centre. Good. Now we're going to do a little bit of a roll. So I've got a round neckline on my shirt. I want you to imagine you've got the same. You're going to follow that neckline utilising the articulation of the neck and the skull. We're going to use the eye line and follow too. So to begin with, we're going to drop the chin to the chest and look down at the knees. Then we're going to allow our chin to roll along the collar line as we roll our ear towards the edge of the ball, and then we're going to roll along the collar line, chin to chest, and come back to centre. Good. Let's try it the other way. We begin looking down towards the knees, rolling the ear along the collar line of the shirt, looking now to the right. I'm not looking directly out, I'm looking at my shoulder. Then I'm rolling along the collar line back to centre and floating the chin back to neutral. Try that each side. Now if you've got hair like I do, you might need to lower the placement of the ball if it's slipping around a little bit. Dropping the chin to the chest, rolling along the collar line. I'm not looking directly outwards, I'm looking at my shoulder. Then I'm rolling along the collar line and floating back to neutral. So not turning the head, really manipulating the whole neck along the collar line. Once you've done that a few times each side, you should feel that the head feels a little bit freer on the neck itself. Now for those of you that have a spiky ball at home and would like to do some deeper release work using the ball, you can take a standing position next to a wall. If I turn to the side and move the collar of my shirt, you'll be able to see a blue X, and this is where I'd like you to begin placing the ball for the release. So, placing the ball into the neck itself and placing the weight of the body against the wall into the ball. We're taking a split stance, 1 foot forwards, 1 foot back, and we're going to gently roll the ball up and down. Now we're rolling along the neck, or up the neck, and then down to where the shoulder meets into the neck joint. Any points of tension we find we can hold onto the ball. We can rest the side of our head just above the ear onto the wall itself too. If if you find that you're getting a little bit extra neck tension, that's quite uncomfortable during your release. And you can also roll side to side to release any extra points that you find. To make your release work bigger, the arm that is facing the wall, the same side as the neck that you are working on, you can thread it behind your back, rest it on the side of your hip, stretching the arm slightly away from the body, and you may find that gives you a bigger release working into the neck itself. Now this is quite strong work, so be very gentle when rolling up and down, using the pressure bending through the knees. You can roll up and down 10 times, finding any knots, holding and breathing for 5 to 10 breaths. Doing the same rolling side to side, finding any knots, stop and holding for 5 to 10 breaths. And if you do one side, please repeat on the other. Equally, if you find that the tension is more towards the back of the neck, you can roll your chest facing away and find the point that you need now running onto the upper traps. Now the upper traps are known to create and hold a lot of tension around the neck joint itself. And if you find it helpful to roll this point against the spiky ball, you can also drop the chin to the chest, lengthen the back of the neck, and really work deep into the upper traps, either side of the neck these run. So if I'm focusing on upper traps, I can expect to roll from this point here, and it's quite fleshy, it's not on bone, running here, just to before the spine. Don't roll onto the spine with the spiky ball, it's quite uncomfortable. But this soft portion, well, it will be soft after you roll it, your upper traps can also be released in case of any neck tension. Here for me is the point where I get the most neck tension and pain. So that's the point that I concentrate on, and the ball sits quite neatly into that point just before the spine on the fleshy part of my traps. You can spend a little time each week releasing the traps. You may find it useful to do it every second day. You can also do it against the foam roller lying down if that's a better option for you. The foam roller, depending on how dense and hard the foam roller is that you have, can be a little bit more forgiving than the spiky ball. Now to finish this section, just a little note about mindfulness. If you do experience any neck or jaw tension that's very uncomfortable during your Pilates practice, you may find that this cue may help you. Now I want you to think about softly parting your lips and placing the tongue on the roof of your mouth. It's quite hard for you to clasp or grind through your jaw when you're pressing the tongue to the roof of the mouth, and it can release any jaw pressure that you're adding if you tend to strain through your sternocleidomastoid, which is a neck muscle that is very common in people that do a lot of sit-ups, a lot of press-ups. They tend to strain through the neck because they tend to hold their breath. So doing a little breathing exercise with me here. We're going to part our lips, press the tongue onto the roof of the mouth, soften through the eyes, and just follow the breath. Now you're going to inhale deeply through the nose and the mouth, inflating through the lungs sideways. As you exhale, the ribs want to sink in and down, and you're going to express the air out of your nose. Follow the breath in and out. Good. As your breath is focused here, we're going to now flood our attention to our neck itself. Breathing in and out deeply, still pressing the tongue lightly to the roof of the mouth. I'd like you to imagine just floating the weight of the skull directly over your sternum. As you float the skull here, I want you to lengthen the neck from the sternum itself, running up the back of the neck into the back of the skull. Your head wants to float, your neck wants to lengthen, your shoulders want to soften away. Breathe in and out deeply. Stay focused on allowing the head to float freely, the neck to lengthen freely, the shoulders to release. Good. Keep your focus here. Last breath in and out. And let it go. Release the tongue from the roof of your mouth. Relax your focus. Well done. This might be helpful for you to practice just telling yourself, my head can float freely, my neck is long and loose, my shoulders are relaxed. This little practice can help you be a little bit more mindful of any tension that you carry throughout the day. Have a good week. I'll see you next week.